Okay, Chris, thanks for doing a Reefy As Fuck tank tour for us. If you want to just give us a bit of a background about yourself and your journey through the hobby until where you are just now.
Okay. Yeah. So my name's Chris. I'm 27. I live in northern Michigan. I'm in the Coast Guard, so that's why I live up here now. I'm originally from Pennsylvania. Uh, but so I've had fish tanks pretty much my whole life, mostly freshwater, never really had saltwater till recently. Um, when I moved here, I think I had like 5 or 6 freshwater tanks at one point, and then I was like, this is a little much. So I started getting into freshwater plants and actually started selling those. And that's kind of how I was able to get into saltwater because before I always thought, it's way too expensive. So I was taking freshwater plants into my local store, getting store credit. I started building the saltwater tank. At this point, I've been running a saltwater tank for about 3.5, almost 4 years. Um, it's kind of moved from one tank to another to another. So this one right now has been set up for a little over 6 months. At one point, I had like a 40-gallon breeder that I had set up, and that actually cracked and started leaking everywhere. So then I moved to a 45-gallon bow front. I had a lot of issues with that one. A lot of it, I think, was just the location in the house because I had it in my bedroom, and it was getting really hot in the summer, like 85 degrees, and then it would swing all over the place. Also, like maintenance was just kind of getting left out because it was in the back corner of the house. Since I set up the 250, things have been going a lot better. I kind of got new equipment to help myself out a little bit too, just because my work schedule is kind of weird sometimes. Like I can be gone for 3 days at a time and then have like 2 days at home. So I got to bust some things out. So I kind of made it a little easier on myself with this tank than I was before with doing like everything manual. Um, Other than that, I mean, that's pretty much how I got into it. You guys have any questions or anything?
No, do you at any point think it's a stupid fucking hobby?
I got a lot of stupid hobbies. I could put it
You've
that
got
way.
more than one stupid hobby.
Yeah, like I was saying before, I got all kinds of shit. I have a ton of animals. I got like chickens, turkeys, all kinds of stuff like that. I have a bioactive vivarium for my snake. I got a bird that doesn't shut up when people are talking. I have ferrets. Uh, I brew
Holy
beer. I got
smokes.
all kinds of stuff. But
You've got a lot going
Full
on.
mustache.
it's just a matter of what I touch. Right now, I haven't been doing much. I just had a baby as well, so we just had a baby 3 months ago. So at this point, I'm kind of just taking care of the animals, making sure everything's all right. The rest of my hobbies are just kind of off on the back burner. But
That is crazy.
yeah,
Chris, you're away for work a bit sometimes, aren't you? For like at least a week at a time or longer?
right now, I mean, the longest I'm gone is 3 days in a row. Um, at one point, so back when I used to run 40-gallon, I'd be gone upwards of a month, 2 months. So right now, that was when I worked at my other job. I used to be on one of the larger boats, so we used to go out and ice break for months at a time and do buoys and stuff. Now I'm at a small boat
Oh,
station, so I do a lot of like just standing duty and then like law enforcement, search and rescue, that kind of stuff. So we just do like a shifted fireman schedule. So right now, the longest I'm gone is 3 days. But yeah, when I was gone
okay.
for a month, my wife would kind of take over and do the things that need to be done. But right now, I don't really need to do that too much. So.
Cool.
Sounds like you didn't really need to get fish tanks to fuck with your life. It sounds like you've just got plenty going on. There's something
Yeah.
wrong with us. There's something wrong with people that decide to get into this hobby, especially when they've already got too much shit going on. And you've just had a baby. Well
Yeah.
done. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've had freshwater all my life. So, I mean, it was more once we got into saltwater, the first couple years were a little rough of me at least getting it figured out. I would say now I got a pretty good hold on it. Things have been doing really well. Like right now, I think I maybe have 2 corals that aren't doing well. So out of
Pretty good.
everything else. Yeah. So, but we can get into that in a little bit. So, I guess you guys ready to move on to like hardware?
Yeah.
Yeah, take it out.
Just
All
go
right.
Go for it.
go through your whole setup.
Alrighty. Here, hang on. Let's see.
That is a fucking awesome mustache, by the way.
I was gonna
I
say
saved it. So we had a mustache. All right, I'm gonna have to take this bird out real quick because she's gonna scream the whole time. Here, hang on. She'll sit with me. She hears other people and she's like, "What the hell is going on here?"
That's okay. We can fill gaps with different
I'm a
sounds.
pirate.
So yeah, we had a mustache competition at work, and I just decided to keep mine for today. After today, it's gone.
Sexual chocolate.
Ha,
Alrighty. So for hardware, I really don't have too much going on. It's kind of a mess. So with the older Red Seas, they kind of had this control board that gives you all the switches and everything. I think I have 2 more power strips on this thing because I have so much extra stuff. I'm running just a J-Bow little dosing pump, which doses kalkwasser and then some vinegar for nutrient control. So I do carbon dosing. I have an upgraded pump in one of the sides, which is just another Higer. I forget what wattage it is, but I have it turned down really low. Also, I don't know if you guys know too much about like the old Red Seas, but I don't run the T5s. I have a LED upgrade kit in here, which I mean, it's going to be super bright, but it's just 2 LED bars in there.
So, what is this tank? Like a 230D? What did they even call those? I had a 130.
It's a Red Sea 250 Max.
Okay,
So,
cool.
There's a little tag right in there.
Yeah, I had a 130 or something that had a similar hood setup with all the power bar stuff. I mean, it was probably like 10 plus years ago. And it was a great setup. It was probably my favorite all-in-one that I had.
So this is my first ever all-in-one. I actually bought this tank used off of somebody, and the guy who bought it didn't really know what he was doing. He was going to use it for fresh water. He bought it. I think it actually leaked on him, and he was like, I'm done, got rid of it. So he ended up getting the leak fixed before he sold it. I had to completely redo the back of the stand because the stand was just destroyed. So I had this tank in my garage for like 1.5 years before I actually got it running. Since then it's been good. The only other thing here, some extra stuff that I run.
I'm just cracking up when the camera's on you. The bird just pops up out of nowhere from behind your head. It's great.
Yeah, she likes hanging out. So I run a Higer. I think it's a quartz heater, and then I have a little ATO bucket here with an F zone ATO. Nothing really crazy. It has the stock skimmer in here. I put fans on it in the summer because this hood holds in a lot of heat, and this is something I've talked about with people before. Everyone says they usually get rid of the hood. The lighting system in here is like a $900 lighting system, and I don't want to get rid of that.
Oh,
so
shit.
I try to get rid of the heat just with those fans. I think other than that, that's pretty much it when it comes to hardware.
What temperatures range does it run, or how hot does it get if heat's a concern?
Right now, when I run the fans, I have those on like a rotary timer, so I'll have them run, every like hour to half hour, and I can keep the tank down at 78. If I don't have the fans, I saw it rising closer to 80. But with the fans this summer, it stayed, right around that 78, 79 range. Usually I'll set my heater a little lower in the summer, so I'm not constantly fighting the heater, But yeah, I live in a manufactured home as well, so kind of like a trailer, and I don't have AC other than like window units, so my house kind of gets a little warm anyways. So I just try to combat it with those fans.
Okay, so is this the same type of house as Brian V, just to clarify, before I go down the whole snatch?
Similar, yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Similar,
it's not a pikey caravan, Ron.
Take it in the periwinkle blue.
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, there's like a slight difference between like a trailer and a manufactured home, but they're all the same thing. So,
I mean, you've got a fucking chandelier above you, so it's definitely not a British caravan.
Well, yeah, I mean, here, like if you were to look at it, I mean, it's a mess right now. I have a baby and stuff, but I mean, it looks like a normal house,
Well, that's bigger than my house already, and I bet there's more.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
No, it's I'm in South Carolina, so the idea of not having central AC is just such a foreign concept.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
everything here needs it.
In Michigan here, I mean, it doesn't get too hot, but yeah. So, yeah, I guess you guys have any questions about equipment or?
Skimmer how big is it? That skimmer fits right in the
here.
back chamber. And is my headphones shitty? I switched my headphones today. I might go back to the other one.
Your voice is a little bit clearer, Zach.
So
Clearer?
Yeah, it's a bit clearer today. When you use your AirPods, it's really muffled.
So the
I'm
skimmer,
on my AirPods.
the skimmer is just this little skimmer cup here, but the skimmer itself actually runs all the way down in that back all-in-one compartment, and it's real like thin. It's not very wide.
Okay.
Is that a prism skimmer? Is that what they called those?
I'm not entirely sure. It's just what comes. It came with these. It's the stock skimmer. It's kind of a piece of shit, but
It looks like a modification of just a hang-on back skimmer, one of those old backpack skimmers, but it's made to slip in a compartment.
they still sell them. If you look at like Red Sea, I think one of them is actually called like a desktop skimmer. My biggest issue I have with it is it'll be running fine for a while. Then all of a sudden it'll start over skimming like crazy, or it'll be doing kind of what it's doing right now, where like you see like it has skimming around it, but it's way down there right now. So it's not doing anything.
That looks like a fucking candy floss machine.
Candy floss is cotton candy.
So I mean, it works sometimes.
Is that what
but
candy floss is?
Probably.
I just dropped a link in the Discord. Those rectangle skimmers with that shaped body always stuck out at me. They're reason.
Yeah, I've looked online. I guess there's some people who have found some other skimmers that fit in there, but they're all really expensive. And I mean, from now, I'm doing pretty good with what I got, so I wasn't too worried about it.
Yeah, when I searched for that skimmer, it looked like there were some Deltec options. I think they have like those MCE 400s or whatever, but that'd be overkill, I think.
Yeah, and I kind of looked at it. I have a hang-on back skimmer, but it's kind of small. When I was running my older tank, if I really wanted to, I could always pull the tank away from the wall and put a hang-on back there and just make the water level to the right what I need. But like I said, I mean, this one works fine. It just gives me a few problems here and there. I've been, like I said, at this point, I kind of do my nutrient control through dosing carbon more so than I do the protein skimmer. And then kind of like what I was showing you guys yesterday, I'll do reef snow every couple days, which helps. I don't know if you guys have ever looked in that. Apparently it helps collect all your particulates and kind of helps the skimmer skim them out. And I found that's worked really well for me. So
I don't actually use skimmers to pull shit out the tank. I use them purely for oxygenation. The shop tank has 2 skimmers on it. One of them is for injection of ozone. But I don't use them for pulling shit out. I mean, I've got fleece filters in all the tanks. They do more than enough.
Well, on this one,
my skimmers pull some shit.
Yeah. Right now, I'm not running any mechanical filtration. So, other than I guess like you could say like the skimmer. It had these big sponges in the back, which I've read are more for like getting rid of bubbles and stuff like that. But they were such a pain in the ass because they were huge. And the way that the discharge pumps are, they have these hoses that run down and it would clamp around the hose. So when you tried to pull them out, it would just basically you're squeezing them because you'd have to squeeze them out, and all the shit would go in the back compartment anyways. And they would clog up really fast. So constantly your water level was doing this, because it would get clogged back there. Then your water level's real low back there because the pumps are sucking it too hard. I just ended up taking them out, and I haven't had anything in there for months now. And I if anything, my nitrates and stuff have been better other than just gunky sponges back there. So,
so you said that tank, when the guy who had it before it had sprung a leak, do you know what they had to do to repair it? That would worry the hell out of me.
Yeah. So this is kind of a funny story. So I was talking to the guy. I went to go pick it up. You can tell the guy was kind of out there. I stopped into one of the other fish stores and actually started talking to one of the guys there. And he goes, "Oh, yeah, I know that tank. We're the ones who fixed it." It was a back corner of the all-in-one. So it's the compartment that only holds, 10 gallons, but it's the one corner, so it barely holds a gallon and a half, 2 gallons. the corner of it was leaking, and they kind of relayed a thing of silicone inside of it, which I know is not the correct fix. But he water tested it. I've had water in it for a while. I water tested it. It's got a thick layer of silicone on the inside, and they've re-siliconed on the outside a lot, and that seems to be holding it well. And I've been keeping an eye on it since I've had it going. I can kind of show you guys. But yeah. Let's see. Let's see if I can get my camera back there with a flashlight. So
get some Flex Seal.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's this back corner right here. I don't know if you guys can see that like extra silicone on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's all re-siliconed on the inside. And I mean, like I said, I was a little worried about it at first. That's kind of one of the reasons why it took me so long to get it set up. But I put water in it and like left it there for like a month before I even was looking at bringing it in the house. Since then, I haven't had any leaks, any problems. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think there's some like leak detectors on Amazon. If you don't have a controller or anything, some standalone ones that if you ever wanted to throw something back there as peace of mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I've looked at it. I've kind of debated it. So
you could just fill it up with SeaTac.
Right. Yeah, SeaTac. That's a bomb. That's a bomb.
I'll need to edit that out because people think I'm actually really stupid.
All right, you guys got any other questions before we move on to like livestock or?
You said that was a $900. I'm sorry. You said that was a $900 light system.
If you look on Steve's LEDs, that's what they sell for normally. I didn't buy it. It came with the tank. So I guess the guy who had it before the guy I bought it off of used to use it as a reef tank. And that system, when it's not on sale, is like $900. And it's just a drop-in LED system. I maybe have it running at like 50% on one spectrum. The other ones are at like 15%. So from what I've read, you can pretty much blast it and it'll kill everything because they're really powerful. I had some issues with that as well, but there's like fans and stuff in there. And by the time I got it set up, the fans shit out. So I had to replace those, but they're like $12 parts. The cool thing about the lighting system is it's like a guy who runs just like a solely LED shop. So he sells all the parts. You can actually buy all the parts separately, build it yourself and all this other stuff. It's kind of crazy, but I'm not into that. I can fix the fans. That's about it.
So it's kind of a total custom strip setup.
Yeah, I mean, he sells it all put together, but if you wanted to, you can go to his website and buy everything separately, or you can even make your own. He has like the single LED diodes you can buy and all that other stuff. So,
but he's making them for, I mean, there's not a huge market for that shit. So he's kind of making them to fit old units as replacement. Yeah.
Yeah. So he has them for the bio cubes as well. And the smaller Red Seas. So like anything that had these kind of hoods that had like T5s in there, he sells the LED plug and play kits. So, and that kit just kind of bypasses the old timer and everything in there and has its own power supply and its own little controller. That's what this guy is here. So that's what this little guy is right here. And it just has a bunch of little different settings in it that you can go through for like, you know, spectrums, ramp times, sunrise modes. It has like a moon phase mode that I've been using, which I've heard people say yes or no. Just stuff like that.
Do you have any biological
in the tank
in there?
What'd you say, Ron?
I'm talking this time. Fuck you, Zach. Do you have any biological filtration in there other than just your rock and your sand?
Yep. So I have a lot of rock. I have a bunch of ceramic rings in there that I've had laying around. I also am using some of those. I can't remember what they're called, but they're the cubes that are from. I'm trying to remember what they are. I can't remember what they're from.
Is it Chemipure or something? I can't remember.
You remember, Zach, you there? those cubes and those bricks, they're called like BioOrb or something like that, right? I can't remember what they're called.
Oh yeah, the brick. I can't remember the fucking name.
Yeah. Either way, they're another biomedia. They're supposed to be super, have a lot of surface area. That's pretty much all I'm running. It's just those and some ceramic rings, which the ceramic rings were just stuff I had laying around. So I threw them in bags and put them in there just to get myself more. I would say, so this is only technically a 65-gallon tank. I would say I'm probably running close to 100 pounds of rock, if not 120. But
Ron sits and nods like he knows what that means.
Come on, you guys do human weight in pounds, don't you?
We do stone.
You're full of shit.
No, we do stone.
You do stone? You weigh 2 stones?
So what's 100 pounds? Like 60?
What the fuck is a stone? What the fuck is that?
It's what's in his tank.
I'm 13 stone.
So does that make you a fat ass or not?
I think it's 26 cups.
Oh. Is that right, Jim?
Fuck you, and fuck you.
Hey, it's John McLean. Morning, John.
Is John got up?
He's here. You gonna come up and have a few laughs?
Mr. Dubs?
Hi, Zach.
Hey, Sherman, Chris.
Yeah.
What kind of canoe is that? Is it a
she's a crimson belly conure.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I have a pineapple green sheet. So.
Yeah. Well, she was yelling because she heard everybody talking, so I took her out because otherwise she was just going to scream in the background. But
very entertaining. It's been amazing to watch her.
I've been expecting her to just shit all over the phone every time she points her ass at it.
So she may poop on me, but she's actually potty trained. So usually before I take her out, I tell her to go poop. She poops in her cage, and then she's ready to go. But you know when she's going to poop because she starts getting nippy. She'll start biting at me and stuff, and I'm like, all right, I know what that means. So she's pretty good.
She's potty trained.
That's amazing. Absolutely.
They're
amazing.
smart.
100%. Yeah.
All right, you guys ready for livestock then, I guess?
Yes.
All righty. Let's see. I'm going to get my little lens.
Mr. Dub, your hair is looking absolutely wild this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of weird because I'm having, there we go. Is that covering most of the camera?
Yeah. What lens are you using?
It's one of the Orphic lenses. It's just an orange lens. Can you guys see pretty good? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Corners
for me, it looks
a tiny wee bit, but
yeah. I mean, I have my white lights on. That's probably too blue, huh?
Too blue. That the lens looks better.
that's perfect.
Yeah.
It's just hard because when I'm taking a video, it's not really like covering the whole thing. So for livestock, I got 2 clowns up there. Then they're an enemy. I got a green chromie, lantern basslet. Here's the leopard wrasse that's been cruising around. I have a mandarin back here. Coral beauty, pink spot goby. There's a pistol shrimp down here, but they have not paired off yet. There's a tail spot blenny in here somewhere, but he's hiding. There's also a royal grama, but he likes to just hide as well most of the time. For corals, I got all kinds of shit.
So hold on. That's cool. You have a ton of little fish in that tank, and you've kind of done like, people are like, they got to get the big fish. You've taken a little bit smaller tank and you've loaded it with a nice variety of small fish.
So something I was just talking to Zach about is I had a 2-spot tang, and I just got rid of that because she was being super aggressive, and a lot of my fish were not coming out very much. I had her for 2 years or so. She was doing well, but I actually just sold her. But yeah, other than that, I have a lot of smaller fish. And everybody's been doing a lot better since I got rid of the tang. Before, a lot of people used to hide a lot. But yeah, I think at this point I'm kind of done with adding fish.
What they all say.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have a little urchin as well, which I know I have a lot of algae, which that's something I'm kind of working on. I kind of had an issue where when I started my carbon dosing on this tank, I bottomed out my phosphates, my nitrates kept rising. And when that happened, everything got out of balance. And I started getting a lot of algae problems. Then I had to lay off of it, let everything balance back out. So, I mean, as you can see, there's probably a good mat of algae on that back right there, but it's actually starting to kind of die out on that back corner and go across. And then every time I add new rock, the new rock gets covered in algae first, and then eventually it starts to clear up. But I don't really freak out about it too much. Everything's been happy. So, kind of just taking it slow, seeing what happens, watching for other things.
What herbivores have you got in there, Chris?
I'm sorry?
What herbivores have you got in there?
So right now, other than the urchin, it's just a tail spot blenny. I have a bunch of different snails and stuff, which I've heard, certain ones. I got Trocus, Straya snails. I have a money cowrie. Like I said, the coral beauty picks at it sometimes. But that's pretty much it. I might, if this blenny doesn't start doing too well, I might look at adding something else, but I don't quite know what yet. So the whole tang thing just didn't really work out for me. It was just too aggressive. I think the tank's a little too small, and then yeah. So I don't know.
I mean, it's verging on too small based on how much fucking rock you've got.
Yeah, well, I kind of tried to do that to split up the habitat a little bit, to kind of maybe make some more territories and stuff. That's another thing I might be looking at, is making my scape a little different again. Because at one point I had like a pile and I couldn't put any corals in like good spots. Right now everything's in a pretty decent spot. But yeah, I might break some of like this top layer down, or maybe split the two and give myself a little bit more flat rock work.
I really like
yeah,
it.
We'll see.
I like what you've done.
So I don't, do you guys want me to go through like all the corals, or I don't
Yeah. Start from left to right, or right to left, or up and down.
Okay. So I got everything's still kind of opening up. I kind of pre-staged my lights to turn on like 2 hours early, so everything's still a little closed. But I got a fox coral back here that's doing all right. Some of these ones that are still recovering is kind of when I had my last crash. So like I have an encanata right here that has had like one single polyp for probably about 1.5 years now, because the rest of it died off, but it's slowly making a recovery. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of just sticking up.
This is exactly the same situation I'm going through with my echinata right now.
Yeah, so it did really well for me for a long time. And then I had a big tank crash because of, I think it was mostly because of alkalinity swings and such. And all of it died besides that one polyp. And now that one's been just steadily growing a little. I can't see because the lantern basket's in the way, but it's growing back. I got a little Ricoria here that's a little closed. I got some other mushrooms, a hammer, a little toadstool. I got some blastos over here, which I guess this red one's an Indonesian blasto, which I've read is kind of hard to do and deal with, but it's been doing really well. I got a couple acans down here in a bower, some gonies and an alveopora. My frog spawns have been going crazy. That green one will get probably the size of my hand when it's fully inflated, and it's just been stinging the shit out of my zinnia, which whatever, don't really care. But there's some Favites sitting in there, some Galaxia. I got one torch that's been doing really well. This elegance right here, this elegance gets huge. Same thing, probably about the size of my hand. The Duncan that I got from Uzak, that thing's still doing really, really well.
Cool.
There's a Lobo, and then a Trachea, and then another Trachea back there.
Let's look at those trachees for a second, a little closer. That's juicy, man.
Yeah, and then this one's freaking huge. So same thing. That one starts blowing up, and it fills that whole back corner. That green one.
Is your flow pattern the same the entire day? Does it ever change to like some pumps off or anything?
So I have one of these J-Bow gyre pumps. I have it on like not sign, but like a cross flow pattern, and I have it turned down at night. That's about it. I'll have it turned down to minimal at night, just so things aren't getting blasted. But other than that, no, it's just coming through. It hits the box over there. And then those on my overflows returns, those are random flow generators. So those, as they spit the water out, it kind of spins. So the flow kind of changes on its own here and there. But for the most part, it's kind of left to right up here, and then it comes down this way.
Whoa, weird echo.
Yeah, I hear that too.
Where did that come from? Now I'm echoing. Oh, it stopped.
It's Ron's fault.
Ah, Ron.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, I got some Fabias scattered around in there. There's that weird bubble coral thing that I didn't know what it was, but now it's starting to bubble up really well.
What kind of pistol shrimp did you say you had?
It's like a candy cane pistol shrimp. You might be able to see him. He's just red and white striped. He hides down here, but yeah. Which I was reading, the red and white striped ones, usually one of the ones that is supposed to pair up, especially with like, the pink spot Watchman goby. But when I got this goby from Zach, he was already pretty big, so I'm wondering if he was already kind of set in his ways. But it's no big deal.
Yeah, I had a little Fluval tank set up where I had a yellow Watchman goby, and it wouldn't pair up with the shrimp, and it turns out I added I think it's a curly Q anemone shrimp. It was some kind of red and white shrimp that doesn't actually pair with fish. It pairs with a specific kind of anemone. So once I caught it and put in a tiger pistol shrimp, they paired up immediately. I'm like, poor thing was just scared of the other thing. I thought it was going to kill it.
Yeah. So, because did that one look kind of like a normal pistol shrimp then?
Yeah, it was primarily red with a little bit of white on it.
That's a possibility if that's what I have.
Yeah, look up curly Q anemone shrimp.
Okay. Yeah, I will. Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, for the most part, he kind of just hangs out here in this hole. He's been moving sand and everything, and he's kind of just hung out. So I'm not really too worried about it. But other than that, I mean, I got a Zoa rock over here. So out of the things that aren't doing well, this patch of Zoas that's in the middle, they were doing really well, and then all of a sudden I just started getting them all closed up. I kind of moved it there for right now because it keeps moving around the tank. I've recently tried dosing vitamin C because I heard some people have really good luck with that with Zoas. Some of them have started opening again, but still nothing great. The rest of my Zoas, I mean, these ones are doing good. These guys are doing good. But these ones have been stretching like crazy, kind of like what Brian was saying, but they're still popping out heads like crazy. So I'm not too worried about it. Up here, so this is my other coral that's not doing too good. And I don't know if anybody's researched about blueberry gorgonians, but apparently they are extremely hard and nobody really has luck. I've had this one going for a few months now, and it died back really, really hard at first. I moved it over here under my gyre pump, and since then it's been doing better. It just catches all the shit that's floating through the tank. And then I have a red finger gorgonian back there that has actually been doing really well. In the daytime, it'll have all its little hands opened up. But these are my first two non-photosynthetic corals. The blueberry, I'm not too sure about. It might not make it. The red finger one has been doing really well. I don't know if anybody has any luck or has any experience with those, but
no, that answered my question though, that they're non-photosynthetic. The only gorg I have experience with is Groobs, and it is photosynthetic and it grows super easy, super fast. If you want a big piece of that, I'm happy to send it to you.
Okay, yeah, maybe. I also have some sun corals down here that are just chilling. They're not open right now. But yeah, so when I was reading about it, the red finger gorg and the blueberry, apparently they're both extremely hard because their mouths are smaller than other non-photosynthetic gorgonians. The red finger one I haven't not had a problem with. It opens every day. It eats really well. It's grown a little bit. The blueberry, like I said, died back real fast, and this is kind of where it stopped. So I'm hoping this is the turning point because kind of where I have it, all this stuff in the tank pretty much flows right through it without it getting blasted. and I think that's helping. But we'll see. Because when I was reading about it, a lot of people were like saying, you know, enjoy it while it lasts. It's gonna die, and I mean, we'll see what happens.
Do you target feed them with anything?
Yes, I do, but I can't get on like a very tight schedule because, like we were talking about with my work schedule, I try to do like twice a week. I use Reefroids, and then I also use Red Sea Reef Nutrition AB Plus. But I might be switching again to a different amino. I just have a big bottle of that for now, so I'll do that. Other than that, I have some GSP that sits there in the back. I got a couple SPSs that are going. So I got a Pagoda Cup, a little Montepora, a Pavona. My Digitata is finally coming back, Zach. It's got green flesh and it's all open.
Awesome.
So I think it was just getting used to the tank. A little green bird's nest back there. And then, like, you guys saw the picture of that Fabia. That thing was blown up last night. It kind of disappeared. Like, it's still all, like, scarred up, it looks like. But it's not blown up. So.
Yeah,
maybe it had a fart stuck.
Mix of corals in such a small tank. Like, unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm a hoarder.
I love it. And you've got a plate down there in the front right as well.
Yeah. And then there's rock flowers too. There's probably about 10 rock flowers in here, all scattered throughout. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it, I think. I'm sure there's things I'm missing. I have some macroalgae in this box up here, and then I have some that's scattered around the tank. It's like, I forget what kind it is, but it's like it almost looks like a red kelp. But
Dragon's breath.
it's not dragon's breath. It's real thick. It was labeled when I bought it as like red plastic macroalgae, and I looked it up and it has a scientific name. But
Wisteria,
it's something like that. Yeah, it's really slow growing.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then like another coral I was saying that kind of has been going through and recovering from my crash is this orange Galaxia. So you can see the heads are kind of like split up by where I don't know if you guys can see. I can't really tell, but that orange Galaxia kind of died back a little bit during my crash, and it's starting to come back now. But yeah, you guys have any questions or?
I do. You're a little bit darker substrate than I've ever used. Is that just the black Carib Sea, or is that something special?
So I'm cheap. So right now it's mostly black Carib Sea, but a lot of it's actually mixed in with, I don't know if anybody does freshwater tanks and has looked up it's black diamond blasting sand. So it's a completely inert coal slag based sand for actual diamond blasting, sand blasting. It's half that and half Carib Sea. So I don't know if you guys can see right here, see all that shiny, dark black little stuff?
Yep.
That's coal slag. So you can get a bag of that for like $10, 20, like $12, and it's 50 pounds. But it's completely inert, doesn't do anything like, I mean, like claim like the Carib Sea, the aragonite helps with like your pH and all this other shit. But yeah, my first 3 years, I was just running coal slag, no Carib Sea.
It does add a nice contrast to corals and other things. It kind of adds something.
I know a lot of people claim that it's magnetic, and other people say that, you know, it can leach heavy metals. I haven't found that. I haven't really had any issues. But I used to use that in all my freshwater tanks, and me being cheap, that's what I did, and it's worked out. So,
have you ever done an ICP? Just out of curiosity. Gotcha.
I have not, but I'm looking at doing one kind of now because I feel like back when I looked a couple years ago, they were way more expensive, and I've looked recently and they seem pretty reasonable. So I might look at doing one here soon. Like I said, nothing's really like doing bad. Everything's been doing really well, so I haven't been too worried.
Just out of curiosity, using a different substrate than most, it would just be interesting to me to see if it's
does anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I thought about it. But yeah, I mean, I just haven't yet. Right now, there's one bag of carob sea in there. I actually have another one sitting on the floor, so I'm debating if I want to put more in. But I think I have a pretty good amount. So
That's my preferred height of sand, or if not even a little less. I think that
yeah,
looks cool. What's a water change look like? Yeah, are you a bucket guy? Or roll a brute can in, or
I do
run
buckets.
hoses?
I usually try to do 5 gallons a week, but that's hit or miss. Sometimes,
week?
I mean, yeah,
25 gallons?
no, 5 gallons.
Oh, I thought you said 5 buckets. I'm sorry.
No, 5 gallons a week, but that's hit or miss. I mean, sometimes I'll go 2, 3 weeks without a water change. Um, I haven't really noticed too much. I know you were talking about it like with your LPS and stuff like that, that you notice after you do a water change, things kind of perk up. I don't really notice much of a difference when I do one. I just try to stay on top of it so I'm not getting bit in the ass when something does happen,
Yeah.
Which I mean, 5 gallons every 2, 3 weeks probably doesn't do too much anyways. It'd probably help my algae problem. But
I'm sure every bit helps, right?
yeah. So I mean, I try to. Occasionally I'll do 10 gallons if I find that I'm falling behind. But I only have like a smaller RO, so it's like one of those RO buddies that does 50 gallons a day, and I only have so many buckets, so
Right.
I try to maybe do 10 at most.
What salt do you use, Chris?
I use Instant Ocean reef crystals, so I've had pretty good luck with them. I do dose, so I have a couple things down here. I have the vitamin C, like I was talking about. I do dose some Replenish from Brightwell for trace elements. And then I've also been doing a little bit of iodine dosing or iodide. But that's pretty much it.
Are you testing for that and then basing those doses on test results, or are you just yeeting it in?
They on the bottles themselves. On the bottoms themselves, they have like a conservative dose if you're not testing. I go off of that, and I probably even do less than that. So, at least with the trace elements, I found if I do less than that normal dose, I haven't really had a problem. I've been doing it for a while. The iodine or iodide, I know comes out of your tank within like 48 hours if you don't keep dosing it. I usually can't dose it in that interval anyways. So, I mean, I do a little bit here and there, and maybe it helps. I know people say I do have a cleaner shrimp back there. People say that helps with them molting on stuff. But no, I don't really test for anything. I just do my normal tests, pH, calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, phosphate, nitrate. And I try to do that once a week.
Where do you run your alk, etc.?
So I try to run my alkalinity around 9.5 to 9.8. And I just adjust that with my calc dosing. My pH usually runs right around like 8.1 to 8.15. Calcium's usually around 440, 450. Magnesium, I try to run on the higher end of like 1400. My phosphate and nitrate right now, I want to say my nitrate was around 30 and my phosphate was around like 0.25. So I would like to, I haven't tested since I've upped my carbon dosing. I don't know if anybody does carbon dosing, but they usually tell you to like up it every 2 weeks if you're not dropping or staying steady. I think tomorrow is like my testing day for that to see if I need to up my carbon dosing or if I need to keep it there or cut it in half. So I'll see what that brings me at.
At any point when you started doing the carbon dosing, did you find any bacterial blooms or anything like that? Yeah, I decided I wanted to stop using so much Rophos here because it was £100 a bucket, and I was going through a bucket every 6 months, and yeah, that's when I decided to move the tank to the business, and then the business could just pay for the electricity. But I then decided to try Nopox. A friend of mine actually is a rep for Red Sea, and oh my god, the sludge and the mess. And I know if I'd persevered, it would have worked out, but not for me.
So, like when I did vodka dosing a long time ago. That worked out really, really well for me when I was doing it, but I was doing it by hand, and it was a huge pain in the ass. I moved to vinegar because vinegar is like 1/16 the concentration or something like that. So you use a lot more. So I'm able to use that higher or that J-Bow dosing pump because I can't do like half milliliters. I can only do milliliter increments. When I got the really bad slime buildup was when I bottomed out my phosphates and my nitrates weren't coming down. And I, being dumb, I didn't realize that they go hand in hand. You can only lower one with the other. So I kept pumping my dosing. I was running it through the roof. And that's when I started real bad bacterial slime fucking everywhere. I turned it all off, let it stop. I let my phosphates rise back up. I've noticed if I get that and I turn off the carbon dosing altogether, the slime subsides in like a week or so. Sometimes I'll stir up that all in one compartment to get it all over the place. And then after that, it disappears. Since I've gotten everything leveled back out, I'm back at my original dosing amount and I have no slime. So I think me not having phosphates and then just pumping the dosing amount, that was causing a lot of my slime issues. Since then, I haven't really had any problems. I was actually just in my back compartment last night because that tail spot blenny was back there. And I was genuinely surprised how clean it was compared to the last couple times I was back there. Because the last couple times when I was having that issue, it was just balls of snot everywhere, all over everything, you know? So.
It's really unpleasant when it kicks off.
Yeah.
6 months, you said, for this tank? About?
Yeah, I mean, it's all the same rock, all the same coral, all the same sand. So, I mean, it's the only thing difference the tank.
Essentially, though, you started a brand new tank. It's brand new in my eye, kind of.
Yeah.
You go through the same hardships a little bit, starting over, moving.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only thing I really was having was the algae. I mean, I had a little bit of diatoms, but I think that was towards my carbon dosing as well. But yeah, other than that, I mean, there wasn't really too much else. I want to say in like my old tanks, I definitely had like dinos and stuff like that break out in the beginning. Some issues like that. But yeah. I think that's pretty much it.
Favorite corals, favorite fish, best. Like, that's hard to pick.
I don't know. I mean, I like them all too much. Like we talked about, Zach, I always like the LPS. I like the flowiness. Like I said, the elegance is cool. The trachees are cool. The plate coral's cool. I'd say right now, out of my favorite fish would either be like the leopard wrasse. She's super active, or I like my lantern basslet. He's always out and around, hanging out. He's cool.
A unique one. I don't see a lot of those around.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people say they're afraid they're going to eat all their cleanup crew, eat their snails, eat their crabs. The only thing he'll eat on me is my hermit crabs when they're either molting or switching shells, and it's very rare. I don't know if it's because I keep him fed pretty well. He's pretty fat, but I haven't really had too many problems with him. He's also not very aggressive. I know a lot of people say they're aggressive and mean. So,
do you have a favorite local fish store there, Chris?
I mean, yeah, I go to Zach pretty much all the time. So,
what would the store be called?
Great Lakes Coral.
Oh.
Yeah. There's not very many up here, but I mean, even the ones that are, nobody's very good. Yeah, other than Zach. I mean, and the other ones around here are kind of getting out of like fish and corals, it seems like, too. So, but
yeah, I ordered from Zach. FedEx decided they wanted to hang out with the box for an extra day, and everything still showed up fine. Bunch of coral, everything's doing great.
Well, I know, like you guys were talking about in the Tank Tour chat, like you go to some stores and people just have things there to turn over and sell. You know, they're not growing it. They're not keeping it alive. Everything at Great Lakes Coral Zach shop is there growing alive. You know, like if he keeps it there, it's going to grow and he's going to have more of it. And that's always cool to see.
Yeah, I can't speak as a customer of Zach's, but I can speak for how hard him and his partner work. They work so hard and put so much effort into it, and they're doing it all the right way. Animals first. They're not ripping people off. I'm a huge fan.
I agree.
Cool t-shirts too.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome t-shirt. Wearing
Chris,
it with
you have a
pride
cool
in
t-shirt on.
Scotland.
The royal penis is clean, Your Highness.
I'm sorry?
You got a cool t-shirt on, some octopus or kraken or something.
Yeah, it's a spear fishing t-shirt for like a spear gun company.
Okay.
It's actually kind of what my tattoo's based off of, my octopus tattoo. But
Oh, show that. Show the tattoo.
hang on.
Is it on your ass?
Oh, it's on his balls. Yeah. Fuck.
Oh.
So it's probably gonna be hard to see, but I have an octopus that runs pretty much like all the way up my arm.
Oh, somebody just ran away.
Yeah, that's my wife with the kid. And then I have a hammerhead that runs up the outside of my arm.
That's cool. That is cool.
That's badass, man.
Yeah.
Like a tough reefer.
Yeah, I'm rocking the 2024 Reefy As Fuck hooded sweater. Just so y'all know.
Damn. That looks nice.
I got a little hot, but I was trying to change my look.
I saw the jacket, Jim. I'm like, what? Does he have a fucking meeting on a Saturday?
I thought it was a church.
Think about it, Russ. Think about it. Think about it.
John McClane, Reefy As Fuck beater.
We do. We do. I definitely think Jason would wear one of them.
You know I would.
Fuck them sleeves.
Hey, fuck you guys. I got sleeves on today. See that? Sleeves, yeah.
No
way. I think you're just trying to act tough, like a tough guy, and telling us you wear the sleeveless all the time because I haven't seen it.
Come on now.
I haven't seen a sleeveless on you yet. You
rip them off
up,
right now.
It's like your
weekend.
Right your weekend church group.
I work with a guy who's always got one sleeve because he always has to pull over and shit in the woods.
Jesus Christ.
How'd you end up in northern Michigan, Chris?
So, like I said, I'm in the Coast Guard. I've been stationed here for almost 4 or 5 years now. I was at a different unit beforehand. I did a full tour there, and then we wanted to stay up here just because I bought this house and we like the area. So I kind of went to another unit like 30 minutes up the road.
So you like it there? You kind of settled in?
For a little bit. I mean, we bought the house. I bought the house like a year into being here, so I didn't want to sell after only having it for like 2 years. And there's some other things that go into it, but I don't really want to get into it because then I have to explain a whole bunch of things. But basically, the job I went to gives me like a higher priority when I do move. So yeah, it kind of just helped out with a lot of things. But yeah, I mean, I like the area. I think after this unit, I'll probably be maybe ready to move because then I would have been here for like 6 years, maybe almost 7 years. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to be able to stay in a spot. It's also nice to move around. I was stationed in Hawaii first, then I was stationed in California, then now here.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure Hawaii has nothing on Petoskey.
But yeah, I mean, it's a change of pace. It's nice, relaxing, but yeah.
If you leave and come back, you know you'll be a fudgy, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yo, you want to buy some toothbrushes, man? This is some real fly personal hygiene equipment I got here, man.
But yeah, that's the next thing I'm going to have to figure out if I move, how I'm moving this fucking thing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Were you into it in Hawaii? I heard their reef scene kind of sucked because they're not allowed to keep anything.
So, like another thing, it's kind of hard to explain, but when I was in Hawaii, I was like very low ranked and everything and, wasn't married. So I lived on the boat that I worked on for like 6 months. And then I was in like a barracks room, which was basically like a small dorm room. So I didn't have anything back then. Then my last place I was at, I was renting a house. So same thing. I didn't really have too much. This is the first place I've been that I bought a house, have a place to myself pretty much. So a lot of things
So
kind
was
of
this your
exploded.
first tank?
I mean, not specifically this tank itself, but like everything that's been moved over. Yes, this is my first reef tank.
Awesome.
So, I mean, like some of these corals are still from the original tank. Like I've had this candy cane that's up here that's exploded now for a while. Yeah, the cabbage coral, some of these mushrooms I've had for since the first tank. I started out really slow with a lot of things. And then, like I said, I had a couple little die outs, a couple little issues, but
I think you've done an absolutely incredible job. Well done.
Well, thank you.
I really like it.
I guess my question is, anybody have any input on the zoas? How to maybe fix that?
Throw them in the bin.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple still surviving in there, but yeah.
Those are a pain in the ass. They either grow really well or shit. Like, in my experience, that's it. They either do real good or they haven't melted, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, well,
usually for me, it's like they either grow or they melt, and that's it.
Yeah. These ones were like kind of closing up. Some of them have melted, but they were turning almost like, it was weird. They're almost turning into like a calcium like skeleton stump when they die.
Oh,
that's weird.
Yeah,
weird.
and it's only so there's two different types in there. I don't know if you can see, it's the lantern bass that likes to get in the way. But there's like the ones with the green mouth and then the one with just like purple. The purple ones are the ones that really aren't doing well. But I mean, like these pallies, zoas, whatever the hell they are, those are doing amazing. These ones have been growing for years. I also have some red people eaters that have been growing really well back there. It's just that one plug.
All right, so the pallies, we're saying that they're pallies and they're not doing well, and then the zoas are doing good. Does that sound right?
Well, I don't know, because would you consider these guys pallies?
I don't think you can see them.
It's hard to say on the thing.
Yeah,
but, the calcium
his whole
stumps
family and all of his pets.
The calcium stumps might make sense for pallies because they use the detritus and debris from around them to make their fleshy layers or whatever, and then zoas are just pure zoa flesh. So maybe like when they wither away, you're getting just leftover debris from the actual tank.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, because I always thought these big ones up top were pallies because they've always been a little bit more stretched out and bigger.
And I don't know if that is the determining.
It looks like the ones up top are like they have the bigger like fringier skirts on them than like a regular zoa.
Yeah,
which usually would look like I would think is a pally.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know, but that's like the main thing that's not doing well is that one zoa, and then like I said, this blueberry gorg, which that's just up to nature at this point. If it survives, it survives. If not, I know why it didn't. You know.
So that's pretty expensive online. Did you get a good deal on that? You said you were cheap.
I paid like $20 for this, and it was full when I got it.
They're like $80 to $300 everywhere.
Yeah. So like I said, where it's at now has not been withering anymore. So I'm hoping me moving it to this spot has helped out because it kind of just stopped, which I've heard once they start withering away, it's just like, just keeps going. So hopefully it works. I don't know. We'll see.
Man, I dream of a non-photosynthetic tank.
But yeah.
Yeah, my local fish store usually has blueberry gorgs for fairly cheap, but they always look like they're struggling. And I've always heard the same thing, that they're harder to take care of, so I've never rolled the dice on one.
So is it down to the particle size that people struggle to get right for food?
That's what I was reading. I was reading like some forums, and people were saying in the UK there's these like other types of food that people have had good luck with. I forget what they're called. Another one people were saying they had really good luck with was like a fish food that you stick to the glass, and as the fish pick it apart, it'll actually the gorgonian will eat it, and it's the right particle size. And a lot of people in the UK were saying like that's the key to success. You can't order it here. I don't remember what it was called, but I was looking at it and I tried to look. When I feed it reef roids, it eats it. I also read a lot of people say if you stir up like your filter compartment and let everything kind of float through, that helps as well. And then that's also kind of what keyed me into using the reef snow, because I've heard the reef snow actually helps suspend those particles longer, and people said they've actually had that help their gorgonians as well.
Oh, interesting. That's a good idea.
I wonder how practical it would be if you had a gorg, right? So if they're very, very specific to what particle size they need to eat, could you take a portion of water out the tank in a jug, grab the gorg, and dip it in like you're dipping it in chocolate and let it eat for a little while and then put it back? Or am I just being totally crazy?
Sean, as long as the polyps were open, it seems like it would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a thought.
But how long do they need to eat? I mean, do they need to kind of filter? Like, is there only so much uptake? So, like, putting them in a bunch of food isn't going to matter because there's only so much they can take up over a period of time.
I mean,
I think that's
not
what
suggesting
Dan said.
you dip it in fucking gravy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know to graze all day.
You said fucking chocolate. Fudgy.
Yeah, I'll just wipe the top of my pizza with my gorg and it can eat what it wants, and then I'll just pop it back in the tank.
I know when I was reading, people have talked about they'll make like auto feeders out of like a mini fridge that has a dosing pump in it. So that way it does get a constant supply of food, but that's just way out of I'm not doing that, you know.
Like, do they eat Fido?
I've read they eat Fido. I like Reefroids work. Some people said, I'm trying to remember what else. It was mostly Fido and like Reefroids, some smaller particulate foods like that.
I was just like, oh, thank God.
But like I said, so far it hasn't withering away more. The polyps open, they close. I think it's getting more food. But yeah.
What's your next tank gonna look like?
This is all I'm doing for now.
I'm just playing.
Yeah, we've tossed around the idea of maybe getting rid of these nems and making like an enemy tank because they're kind of a pain in the ass. At one point I had like 5 of them in here because it kept splitting, but I actually just got rid of them with the tang I got rid of. So now I'm down to 2. I still have 2 freshwater tanks. We have one that's fish and plants, and then I have another one that's just dwarf shrimp and plants. But that's only like a 5 and a 20. Back when I used to do it, I had like a 75 and like 2 40s going, and then also like 2 5s. So, yeah. You guys have any other questions or?
Probably.
I have a question. Can anybody identify what kind of gold torch this is?
That is a gold torch.
Yeah. So it's like purple underneath, green mouth, white tips, gold tops. I don't know.
That would be like a dragon soul variant, most likely.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mike might be able to actually drop in here with an actual species name, but with it not being SBS, I don't know. Mike, do you have anything to say to that?
I know fuck all about LPS.
Draw the line. That's what she said.
Any coral or fish or invert regrets?
I had a big issue when I got peppermint shrimp. I had peppermint shrimp. They were killing my rock flowers, and then that took me a long time to get them out. But I do not have any aptasia, so
nice.
Yeah. The coal tang worked out for a while, but then once it got bigger, yeah, I probably wish I didn't get it. I had her kill a couple of my fish that I really liked, which kind of led to getting rid of her. I did buy a file fish one time before I got to the peppermint shrimp, and it went right for my A cans, but I just took it right back to the store. So other than that, not really.
Did Aqualations take your coal tank?
Yeah, Kevin took them. Cool. So I made the drive. Yeah. He gave me a pretty good store credit. So that's kind of where I got that green bird's nest that's up there. And then
GLC sucks about that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy somebody took her, and I think the big thing with her is she needed a bigger tank, and like I was telling you, she probably needs some other fish in there to put her in her place because that thing was mean. But yeah,
I like that question. Tank regrets. That's a really good one. We should do that at every tour now.
I would say my biggest regret overall was not getting a dosing pump the first couple years. Because dosing by hand, dosing by hand was not working for me. That and an ATO, but that has to do with just my schedule,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about stability. Life. I totally agree with you.
But yeah, since then things have been doing a lot better.
Do you do a lot of testing? Are you testing your water? Or is there something you try and hold, or
like once a week? I try to keep my alkalinity below 10. I found all my LPS really likes it around that 9.5 to 9.6 alkalinity. I'm not usually too worried about pH. I've kind of toyed around with the idea of setting up a CO2 scrubber because I can't quite get it to 8.2. But I mean, at that point, we're just splitting hairs, so I haven't done it. Nitrates and phosphates, I'm kind of trying to keep them around like 25 and then 0.25. I try not to let them rise more than that because that's when I really find like the algae issues and stuff like that. Which, I mean, I have an algae issue, but whatever. Magnesium, I try to keep that up. So I'll test that every week, and usually I have to dose every other week to get it back up to that like 1400 because I do find that the Euphilia don't like it when it gets lower than 14.
I don't get as good. My magnesium gets used up that quickly.
So that's what I was telling you before, Zach, is like my first couple years, I never had to dose magnesium. It was always held by my water changes. Now it's not. So I looked at it as a good thing.
I would, yeah.
So I've toyed around with the idea of maybe moving to using Reef along with Kalkwasser, but I know people said the magnesium content in the Reef isn't quite enough anyways, and it's expensive. So I think I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
How's your little Jabao? How's that handling the Kalkwasser? Have you had to change any pump heads or anything, or any hosing like that? Does it get clogged at all or anything?
No, it's been handling it pretty well. I've ran a couple times. I've ran like vinegar through it just to clear out the lines. I do get a little bit of buildup on like the end of my dosing lines, but it's never more than like what I can just crush with like my fingers, and it clears it right out. Because it's all soft tubing,
Right. And that's like 24 little doses you're doing, or?
So I have two different compartments using two different pumps. So I'm doing it 48 times, so every 30 minutes.
Wow.
And I'm up to, I think, 12 milliliters on one pump and then 11 on the other every 30 minutes. And then my vinegar doses, I think I'm up to 12 milliliters a day.
So I tried to drip. I tried to drip some calc. I tried to drip some calc in my nano, and without having like a pH probe or anything like that, I was not successful, and I had a calc storm, and fucking destroyed it really, really quick.
Yeah. This is something that I've tried to do research. Maybe somebody can answer. What would be my maximum dose every 30 minutes? Like, what's the line, do you guys think?
Gosh, I think you would have to know what your pH was doing at that time.
I think Dave would just say put 500 ml in, just dump it in.
Because I mean, I haven't noticed.
Our uptake.
Dave says send it.
I haven't noticed any issues with like pH boosting or anything. I dose it all in that back compartment, and it's where the outlet of the skimmer is. So it has to go through where the skimmer goes down through a filter compartment, back up, and then over to the pump and down. So I think at that point it has enough time to mix, at least I think. But yeah, I haven't noticed any problems.
We could probably get this Hydros controller kit sitting over here on your tank.
Yes.
I don't think I can afford that right
Yes.
now.
What if we put the 10% off from last week?
I don't know. I don't even know if I have a plug for it. I got
everything.
my two plugs over here plugged in. I got my plugs over here.
You have like 2 power strips.
But yeah, I got 2 power strips under there, including the controller board. I got all kinds of shit plugged in.
Sell the bird.
Yeah.
The bird.
See, what I say is you sell the little baby.
Oh, those aren't going for very much.
Those aren't going for very much.
Yeah, they've taken a dip in the market.
Yeah.
You gotta pay somebody to take it away.
Yeah, probably.
That's beautifully done, Christopher.
Thanks.
Very nice.
I guess my only other question is, like I was talking about with this mushroom, like, you guys know what the hell's going on with it? It's bouncing. It's also kind of bleaching. It's going crazy.
The other one's kind of bleaching too, though. It's on the other side.
Yeah. And the other one over here is doing the same thing.
You got those kind of bizarre lights. Have you ever done a PAR map of your tank?
Nope. So this is something I was messing with the other day. I did do a PAR map of my old tank with my Vipar Spectra, and got that dialed in. There's certain apps on your phone that like kind of do it, and they kind of work. It's weird because with these lights, I've used them on my grow lights for my bioactive terrarium, and it'll tell me the PAR, and it seems reasonable. It seems like it's working. I put it on this light. Sometimes it'll say it's like 19 PAR, and then other times it'll be like 240 right under the light without doing anything. It just tweaks out.
I don't know if I trust that.
Yeah, I don't. It was just really weird because it was working for like my regular grow light, and then I would set it to the blue and white like it says to for this, and it just goes ballistic.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of basing it off of, he has an acclimation guide for these lights for the tank. I'm kind of going off of that for what he has it set to, because he kind of tells you like LPS should be between 50 to 75, SPS should be at like 75 to 85%. And I'm sure he's done PAR maps and stuff. So I kind of just went off of that. And I've noticed once I got to that like range for the LPS, everything started doing really, really well. I did feel like some of my lights might have been a little too dark. The only thing I don't like about these lights is I have the blues blasting, like turned up really high, but there's so many white LEDs in there that as soon as I turn them on, it kind of flushes out the blue, at least for when they're on. And I can't get the power with mostly just the blues because there's 4 spectrums on it. One of them's blue, one of them's pure white, and then the other 2 are a mix between white, green, and red.
That's similar to the Vipar. I mean, you really got to blast the blue to get any blue, almost turn the whites off.
Yeah. Which I found I don't think I was getting enough PAR with just mostly blue. So I started turning the others up. Which, I mean, it's working. I don't really mind the spectrum. It doesn't look bad. It's just I kind of set my ramp time. So now I get like 5 hours of only blues and then like 5 hours of whites and blues. And then your couple hours of sunrise and sunset. So I run my lights for 12 hours, but they have like a 3-hour ramp time or something like that. So peak's only like a couple hours.
Well, I have a PAR meter if you want to borrow it. Just shoot me a PM.
Okay. Yeah, I know I've rented one from Zach before. Like I said, right now everything's doing pretty good, so I haven't really been messing with stuff.
Shouldn't be much. Shouldn't be much to post it, Russ. I mean, you're just in Canada, so.
So I guess my thing is what I was thinking. So like this mushroom, right? And both of these, they were doing really well, you know, and then they started kind of bouncing. So there's a couple of the little polyps, the little redactive bumps are starting to bounce out. And then the flesh just turned pretty much like white and the orange got real fluorescent. But in the level of the light they're getting, they're right next to, you know, this hammer. They're next to these blastos, this cabbage. They're right here by the acans. I wouldn't think the PAR would be that much different. And mushrooms are supposed to be, you know, whatever. And then I mean, I have other mushrooms right there too. So I don't know if it's just stuff I'm feeding or what.
Are you directly feeding them?
Yeah, I direct feed everything.
I would maybe stop on the mushrooms.
Okay.
That sounds silly, but I think so. I think I burn them sometimes as well. Sometimes my mushrooms, whenever I try to do a big feeding and they go around, sometimes I know some of my mushrooms might be getting burned by some of the food that's sitting there. They just look white underneath their vesicles.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I could try that.
That's just an antidote. I would just not feed it for a sec.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like a plan. I mean, like this one I haven't really fed because it's kind of in a weird spot. But I mean, yeah, I'll try that.
It's so you would think maybe something was singing in it, but it's both mushrooms on both sides of the dick inside the tank.
Yep.
So
And these two were next to each other. This one
Are they the
actually
same?
released. Yeah, they're the same mushroom, and this one released and caught back up over here. So
yeah, that's annoying. I wish I knew what that was as well.
yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's partially bouncing, so I don't know. Maybe it just has cancer.
Yeah, good.
Kind of like my Fabia up there blowing a fucking balloon.
That's another weird thing. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. People always say they like low lights. This one, for some reason, every tank I've had it in, I put it way up there because it likes it. It gets super fluffy and it gets real colorful and big, and I've just always had it at the top of my tank. So
I noticed it was way up there.
It likes it. So I don't know.
Was that 4 inches from the surface? What it kind of looks like from my 5 inch?
Probably about 4 or 5. The thing is like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to see the way these lights go, but they don't really cover the whole lid. So, I mean, you got a gap in the back, that's not really being lit. And then same thing with the front. You got this where it's not really being lit, So you get a little bit of a less par, I would say, in the back part of your tank and the front and the sides, because there's a little gap on each side as well. And then the lights being so close to the water line, I'm sure they don't spread as well as like, the lights you have that are 5-6 feet above the tank.
Those don't spread.
You don't think so?
Spread. I don't think they spread.
So
I
when
think you
I was
can put them
running
20 feet up in the air and they just go straight down.
See, I had I had mine on my 40 gallon. At first it was like, I don't know, 5 to 6 inches away from the lid. And I moved it up to like 15 to 20. And I mean, I found it spread a little bit more because I was getting a lot of like spot lighting in certain spots, like especially like with the red, you would just see like a red beam on a rock. And that kind of broke it up. But yeah.
Jim's tank looks like it gets some good spread for whatever he's got going on, his height.
Mine's about 9 inches off the water line.
I noticed when I put my power meter, keep my lights like 6 to 8 inches apart, and if I put the power meter right between them, there is a drastic drop, and it's eyebrow raising every time that I look at it. Like, well, that seems like it should be 70 more par there than 6 inches to the right.
Dave is asking in chat, what else makes a mushroom bounce outside of UV? My input is implants.
Ooh. Brazilian mushrooms.
Does anyone have any other questions for Chris?
It was awesome.
I tried to talk about as much as I could. So, like I said, my tank's not anything crazy.
No, it's cool. I really like it.
I said, like, the only thing crazy about mine's just the amount of corals probably that are shoved in here. But
I own a fruit stand as well. I like it.
Yeah.
And are you sure you're going to get rid of that beauty of a mustache? It looks like it's just getting going.
Yeah, it's probably going. I don't know.
Could really embrace the Tom Selleck look.
Yeah. I mean, if I was allowed, I'd grow a beard. The only thing we're allowed to grow in the military is a mustache, and I hate it, but I'll grow it for November usually.
I thought it was a dad stash. I thought you just poof, I'm a dad mustache.
Yeah.
Good morning, my neighbors! Hey, fuck you! Yes! Yes! Fuck you too!
But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
No, are you going to add anything else? Change any equipment around, or just let it ride? It looks like things are going well, and you're pretty well stocked.
I think I'm pretty much done with stocking. Like I said, I might look at maybe a little bit more algae control, but from what I've had, I had a urchin, a very large one, that really tore down my algae. So I'm hoping this little guy, once he gets going, he's going to help with a lot of this, as well as me getting my nutrients in balance. My last fish I really needed was that wrasse, and that's been doing really well, because I remember, I don't know if you guys saw the flatworm issue I was kind of having on that big ass frog spawn.
I forgot already, kind of. Sorry. It's doing good?
Yeah, I mean, the coral. You're saying the wrasse or the coral?
The flatworms.
Oh, I haven't seen any since I did those dips in a couple days in a row. So I did dips like 3 days in a row on all my Euphilia. The main two it was isolated to was that big green one, and it was on one of these hammers. I think, yeah, one of these hammers. And I dipped them 2-3 days in a row, got a bunch of flatworms off in each dip. Since then, I haven't seen a single one. So
I'm sure Mike could send you some in the post.
By the gallon.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got the wrasse for, as well as I just wanted another wrasse. And since then, she's been cruising around picking at stuff all over. So I don't know if she's eating them or what, but I mean, she's doing really well. She's a really cool fish. So
I absolutely love my leopard wrasse. It's just such a shame that they lose that complete rainbow spectrum when they get a little bit older.
So this one's a female, and when I was looking at the females, they kind of stay similar to that, correct?
Yeah, I've got one that's now 3 years old in our shop system, and I mean it's still an absolutely stunning fish, but it's not got that full color spectrum in the belly anymore. It's just a little bit more muted. Still a beautiful fish though.
Yeah, I could see that, because I think Zach was saying this one's a splendid leopard wrasse, and then it's a female. And the main reason I got her from him, I was asking about it. I was like, that's a really cool fish, but I heard they don't do well eating. And he said that she's already on pellets, and I dropped her in the tank. She was eating pellets day one and been doing really well. I really like watching her go to bed, because she likes to go to bed in between all this over here. So you'll see her kind of just get ready and then poof into the sand, and she's gone for the night.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, Jason's sitting doing his testing. And we know David is. 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think as far as adding anything, I think I'm pretty set. I might look at, I don't know if anybody's messed with adding their vinegar to their kalkwasser to increase the effectiveness as well as carbon dosing. That's something I might be toying with here soon. But that's going to be, figuring out the numbers, what ratio to put in the kalkwasser to make sure my carbon dosing stays the same. As of right now, I'm just running it the way it is. So. But yeah.
Any other questions, folks?
Lots of active fish.
Yeah. I mean, so that was the thing. When I had the tang, everyone would be hiding. The only one that would really be out was this guy and the clowns, because the clowns would fight her, and the mandarin. Nobody messes with the mandarin. But yeah, like since I got rid of that tang, everybody's out besides my grama. My grama is always hidden, which I've heard that's just what they do. So.
And here I was telling you to suck it up and keep the tank.
Yeah, well, it was like the next day, Zach, I got rid of her and everybody was out because she was really going after the wrasse. She wasn't hurting her. She just was pushing her off of everything. And then like right before I got rid of the tang, they were starting to get along, but I was kind of already done. I was like, I want to be able to, if I want to add fish, I want to be able to add fish and not have to worry about it. And she was just always so aggressive to new tank mates and anything new. So I think this way I'll be able to maintain a little bit more of a peaceful tank. Everybody is out and about a lot more, which is nice. I actually get to view the fish a little bit more. But yeah.
Have you considered hitting the tank with Fluke for your algae. Now, I'm only saying that because I have had absolutely amazing results personally.
So when it was getting really, really bad, I was looking into some stuff. Right now, I think I'm on the downward side of it because, so I don't know if you can see on that back wall, you see where it's kind of cut off and there's not stuff growing anymore? That was all covered. It's slowly starting to recede down. Same thing with my rocks. Like when I first moved the tank over, all the rocks were covered. And then I started adding a couple new rocks. So like this one up here is a new rock, and it bloomed algae real bad when I put it in. A couple of these other rocks that are older don't really have algae on them. It's more of the new ones that I put in when I moved everything to this tank. So I don't know if that was just because of like the absence of like the coralline algae on the rocks and wall and everything. But it seems like everything's starting to kind of turn around. The algae's slowly going away, and then I'm getting more coralline blotches everywhere. So I think it partially just adding the new rock, those rocks are maturing now, as well as just the tank in general, if that makes sense. I try to stay away from chemicals unless stuff's really going wrong. And I know to a lot of you guys, algae's real wrong, but to me, as long as the corals and everybody else is happy, I'm not too worried about it. Obviously, if it starts taking over the corals, then I get worried. But I've definitely had worse algae problems before. So,
other than the back wall and on your little kind of macroalgae box you've got there, I can't see algae. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping that urchin cuts down on it. He's been cruising around on that box for the past couple of days, just making little zigzags, cutting it down. So, but yeah.
Yeah, everyone's seen way worse algae problems online.
Definitely.
So when I did my very first, like the 40 gallon, I had some hair algae on there that was probably like a foot long. At one point, it was crazy. There was nothing in there besides like the fish and a couple other things, but just the cycling and all that other stuff. I had some crazy algae, and that was because of my water source. I started with just tap water, and I'm on well, which my well water has high phosphates in it. And that really, I kind of cycled it on that. It all did well, but then I just had some crazy algae issues.
I think in general, water from, like lake areas is pretty high in just minerals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was the problem I really ran into when I was doing well water. I could not get my calcium and alkalinity to balance out at all because my calcium out the tap is extremely high. Once I would add the salt to it, it would just boost everything more. And then I was constantly fighting lower alkalinity, high calcium all the time. Till I got the RO and started doing that, I was able to balance it out really easy then.
I think that's a hard lesson for a lot of people when they start reefing.
Yeah. Yeah. Which that was the thing.
How's your water source? Oh, it's well water. It's great. It's best. Well, yeah, it's great for you.
Yeah, and then if you already have minerals in the water and then you're adding a salt that has the minerals you need, you're just doubling up. And then everything's out of balance as well, And that's kind of what I found to be like key for me is just keeping balance, stability, balance. When stuff starts teetering one way, I kind of try to bring it back. No crazy changes. And everything's been doing well that way.
Chris is not going to be a particularly good customer, Zach. I mean, his tank's sorted. He's done. That's it. You're going to have to give him some sort of
manage to come in and buy something.
You're going to have to stick something really, really bad in the bag with a coral or something and just hope
I'm going to give him some more Aptasia, and you'll have to keep getting F-Aptasia or something like that from me.
I told you, the lemon juice.
Oh, yeah, you're a lemon juice guy.
Yep, it worked for me. Anytime I see an Aptasia, I blast that fucker with some lemon juice and it's gone. So
Chris likes his vitamin C, yeah?
I don't know. I try to do everything like cheap and then like DIY. So like I said, like the coral snow, I got a fucking gallon jug of it that I made, and I still have more powder that I can make with it.
Is that the flocculant that then gets pulled out? Okay.
Yep. So all it is it's just food grade chalk that they mix in water. So you can buy a big bag. I have 2 of them down here of chalk. I don't know if you can see it, but I think I paid like, I don't know, $20 on Amazon for 2 like 2-pound bags.
So
And it's just food grade.
How are you pulling that back out then, Chris? I mean, you were saying you don't have a sock running just now.
So it gets pulled out by the skimmer, is my understanding. And like I said, you guys saw how much I dosed last night. I dosed probably 4 times as much of what you like the minimum dose is, and it's crystal clear now.
Yeah, I think the idea is that the smaller particles become bigger after interacting with it, and then the skimmer or mechanical filtration can remove it.
Yeah. And then
that's like a lifetime supply if you've got that much.
Well, yeah, I have this bag, and then I have a whole nother bag back there. So for $20 and some RO water, that's all you got to do.
It's interesting too, watching how much it messes with vermitids. Like you can really see their food web and smash them once you put a little bit of that.
I was reading apparently they can't digest it, and it clogs them up and kills them. Is another theory. I don't have vermitids. I did at one point.
Maybe I need to try that then.
Yeah, so you're making your vermitids constipated.
I don't have any, but yeah, I've heard that's another thing. You can feed it that, and they eat it with the food, and it basically kills them from the inside out.
I think I've read that it starves them because they end up eating that
instead of food.
Yeah, so I mean, whatever.
That would make sense. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, this was one of my other things. I was like, fuck it, I'll try it, because I saw it on, Reef to Reef, and it's worked well for me. I've been doing the reef snow for maybe a month and a half, 2 months, a little longer now, and it really does help with water clarity.
Oh, it's amazing. Once it clears up, it is.
Yeah.
So does it get pigment out of water? Are we talking that size of particle it will remove?
Yeah, it's inert. It doesn't dissolve in the water. So it ultimately just shit sticks to it. The particles get bigger, and then it gets removed because it never dissolves in the water. It just floats around, getting bigger and bigger until it gets pulled out by the skimmer or a sock or a canister or whatever.
And I will say, I don't know if it's this or the carbon dosing, but my sand bed, my filter compartment has never been cleaner. Like there's not a whole lot of buildup of detritus. Like I said, I don't know if it's just because of the sheer amount of vodka I dose, which helps break everything down, is my understanding as well, because the bacteria, or just this also helping with collecting everything before it can, get into all your nooks and crannies. I also do blow out my rocks.
Do you and your tank just sit and do shots?
Yeah. Well, this is vinegar. It's not
the lemon juice, the vodka.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was doing vodka, I'd pour a little bit and drink while I was doing stuff, just messing around. But yeah.
One for you, one for me.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, with the if you search for DIY KZ Snow, you'll find an enormous article on it, Ron. And I've way overdosed it and never found it piled up on rocks or in the sump or anything. Like it ultimately just ends up working its way out of the water through filtration.
Is this DIY flocculant on Humblefish, or is this on Reef to Reef?
I would look for the thread by Jedi Master Ben.
Jedi Master Ben? Is that a fucking joke?
No, that's his username, dude.
Oh my god! There it is. It's Jedi Master Ben. It's on Reef to Reef. There we go. I've got it. Jedi Master Ben. What the fuck is wrong with people?
And that's one of those things where I wish I had control over what gets written to the permanent memory, but for some reason I'm always going to remember that dude's screen name.
That's wild. Well, unless anybody has any other questions for Chris and his setup, we'll call that a wrap. That's just over the 1.5 hour mark. And this has been absolutely amazing, Chris. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad you guys liked it. I was a little worried, just, algae problems and nothing crazy would get kind of boring, but.
No, I hope you got to know us a little bit better as well, and you can join in more on the Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
you
doing
got a great tank. Thanks.
Dozens of corals in there.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm sure I missed things. There's shit all over in here. So,
but the plan with these tank tours actually is that we should eventually be able to come around every 6 to 12 months and see how things have changed and things like that. That's the plan anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 6 months, you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do with all these corals to make space. Stuff's going to keep growing. You're going to have to start culling.
Yeah, so I think that's what's going to happen when I break down some of this rock. I think I can maximize space if I were to actually scape it a little better. This is all just piled up on itself. Nothing's glued. It's all just stuck in there. I think if I take things out, glue it, putty it, I can make a lot better of a scape that gives me more room, if that makes sense. But yeah.
I think it's funny.
Sorry.
It makes sense to me. At one point I had over 70 coral in a 4 foot wide tank. So
yeah, but that's what's funny is every week Russ is like, yeah, I'm going to be getting rid of these. Anybody want of this, of this, of this, and of this?
You get next Carl. You get
next week. I'm going to be getting rid of anybody want these? They got this, 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 and this. I don't know how you have so many corals because literally every week I'm getting rid of these.
I'm just waiting for him to go off Hydros. Yahoo!
Did you fix your plug, Ron?
I beg your pardon.
Did you fix your plug? Your huge plugs? That's what she said.
Yeah, he farted it out and it was all better.
No, I've not fixed the plug. That one I've got doesn't work, so I'm gonna have to. I mean, Jeff and Russ are like, just order one of each off Amazon. There's like 75 of them. Yeah, but it's free returns. I'm like, yeah, I'm not returning shit until next March. Oh. Yeah, anyway, thank you so much for doing this, Chris. We'll wrap it up there, and if anyone wants to continue the chat, feel free to jump over to the Discord, and thanks again.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks,
Chris.